Hola y buenos días a todos. Primero lo siento por mi español, es bastante malo, pero quiero intentar enseñar un poquito más fácil con el idioma de español, porque es bastante difícil para aprender un segundo idioma. Y gracias a todos para conectar. Y yo sé que tenemos muchísima gente de niveles diferentes, de B1, B2, C1 y C2. Y cuando enseñar en video es importante para mantener en mente los niveles diferentes, ¿vale? Y hoy quiero mostrar una página porque cada vez cuando reunir con un nuevo alumno, yo doy esta página porque es bastante importante, porque todas las cosas están en esta página importante de grammar y vamos a ver, ¿ok? Ahora hablo en inglés, un poquito de Spanglish quizás, ¿vale? Y here on the left, you can see the document, the page. So this page is the most important document at the beginning when I meet a new student, and it's an introduction document, and it's separated into 3 different parts. Okay, so I will show you here. There are 3 different parts. One is the use of English. In my opinion, this is the first important part, and it's very, very important. The second part in the introduction on this page are the tenses. Okay, in español, tiempos, the verbos. We have different times. So today I will explain the different tenses to give you an introduction of the tenses and to give you an introduction of the use of English also. And finally, the third section is grammar, general grammar. Okay, so the other issues that are important in general. Porque cuando enseño esta semana, la semana que viene, en los videos, hablo muchísimo sobre sustantivo, adjetivo, adverbio, y es necesario para conocer los principios al inicio, ¿vale? Okay, primero, in my opinion, accents. Okay, so different accents from around the world. We have accents from Ireland, and in Ireland you have very different accents in the middle of the country, in the south of the country, in the north of the country, and in the west. So the accents are very, very different in Ireland. In England, it's the same. In Scotland, in Wales, in United States, it's very, very different. So in my opinion, cuando estás aprendiendo un nuevo idioma inglés, accentes are muy, muy difícil, okay, and muy difícil para entender. Y por eso creo que es bastante alto en importancia, ¿vale? Por ejemplo, aquí Dublín, London, New York, Sydney, okay, and tenemos 2 variaciones del inglés de Inglaterra or inglés de Estados Unidos. There are minor differences. In my opinion, the difference between British English and the United States English is not the priority. There are other priorities first, okay? Here, the next section are phrasal verbs. So in English, phrasal verbs are very important, and the concept is very different in Spanish and English. Creo que en español no tienes phrasal verbs, porque en inglés phrasal verbs are the combination del verbo y preposiciones, okay? Y en inglés preposiciones están muy importantes, quizás el más importante cuando estás learning inglés, okay? So al fondo aquí puedo mostrar preposiciones, por ejemplo, okay? So solo para mostrar. Aquí tenemos un gran lista de preposiciones. And for example, we have for, from, in, of, on, to. Hay un montón, okay? Una pila. Y esta semana o pronto voy a recordar un video o enseñar un poquito más sobre preposiciones, ¿vale? Pero es necesario para entender preposiciones antes entender phrasal verbs. Ok, so aquí tenemos phrasal verbs, por ejemplo, go es el verbo ir, go ahead, ir adelante, es como al iniciar, to start, or permission. For example, two people in the street and they have a collision and one person says, go ahead. Es como permitir la camina, or the camino por la otra persona. Okay, get up is very typical in the morning. Get is very flexible in English. Get has 3 or 4 different meanings. Get is obtain, receive, llegar, to arrive. And here, get up is typical in the morning. Necesitas levantar en el mañana, ¿vale? To get up. Look, el verbo mirar and look up es muy literal. Por ejemplo, look up, pero hoy un segundo significado y es para buscar información or buscar dato, ¿vale? So if you're in the book, you need to look up information, como buscar por información, okay? So that's a good example. A phrasal verb is literal, but also there is a second meaning as well. Break up is possible literal, but it's reference in the context. For example, a relationship, you break up a relationship. You can break up a company. It's like divide or separate a company. Carry on is very important. Carry is llevar, and carry on means to continue. Set up, set is como establecer, and set up is typical for a company, to establish a company or to start a new company. So this list is small because in general, in English, for phrasal verbs, we have a long list of phrasal verbs. Okay, so in the future, I will explain a little more for a video for phrasal verbs. Okay, idioms are como frases hechas. Okay, so they're very important also in English. This is the use of English. So frases hechas, for example, a senior moment. Cuando olvidas algo, es en broma. Puedes decir, tienes un senior moment porque olvidar. Okay. A brain drain is muy importante expresión también. Brain is cerebrium and drain is como extraer. Por ejemplo, cuando mucha gente del país con educación de la universidad salir, es posible para decir un brain drain al otro país. Okay, so it's an expression in that context when you have a lot of emigration to a different country of educated people. So we have, again, a long list of idioms in English, and it's very conversational, very typical with friends, very typical informal. It's possible general, and it's possible formal situations as well, because they're very important. For example, in movies, in series. So it's necessary to be consciente, muy consciente, very aware of the idioms and the phrasal verbs. So in my opinion, that section is maybe the most important section when you're learning English, in my opinion. The final part is for conversation and pronunciation. So conversation is a different skill, and it's a different talent, and it's very important also, porque mucha gente en España, por ejemplo, tiene un alto nivel de estudios y entiendes grammar, las cosas, pero tienes una falta de practicar en inglés para conversation, okay? So, I know, yo sé que es muy importante para practicar en inglés, para hablar, muy importante. Y hay muchas opciones, por ejemplo, idiomas, intercambios, for ejemplo, in ciudades. Okay, so for example, yellow jacket. So the pronunciation of the Y, yellow. J is jacket. The SH, cash, register. So the G, cash, register. A jet. So the J, a jet engine with the G. This one is very important, fragile. So in Espanol, it's frágil. but in English it's fragile. Okay, jealousy, yearly. And this is very, es muy divertido también, el diferencia entre chicken y kitchen. Okay, so chicken is pollo y kitchen is cocina. Entonces es muy diferente, pero por algo reason, mucha gente confundir los dos, okay, pero dos muy diferente. Okay, so the next section we have the tenses in English, the tiempos, the verbos. So the first is the perfect, and the perfect is very important in English. The simple, the perfect, and the continuous. So the most important probably is the simple. For example, the present, I like, or bebo, I drink. Okay, I drink. The present. The past simple is I drank. Pero el verbo is to go aquí, ir, and it's irregular. Okay, so mucho tiempo por el verbo en el pasado por todos están irregulares. Y es muy difícil para aprender y para conocer todos los verbos irregulares en el pasado. Okay, so the present is the subject pronoun, and the verb. I like. The past, I liked, regular. So normalmente regular is ed, and aquí it's regular. I like in the present, I liked in the past. In the future, normalmente es siempre will. Subject, for example, I will go, I will like, I will drink. Okay, so siempre it's auxiliary will. I will eat, I will drink, con infinitivo. Okay. So here's the same. He is the subject, will see, infinitive and will. Okay, so that's the simple past, simple present, simple future. The continuous, estoy bebiendo, estoy conduciendo, no sé si existe, estoy leyendo, I am reading. Okay, so it's casi el mismo en inglés. El verbo to be, auxiliar. Después el subject, por ejemplo, I, you, he, she, we. Auxiliar, am, for primera persona, I am, plus the gerundio. I am drinking, I am eating, I am sleeping. Siempre, okay? Entonces es regular. Y pasado es el mismo structure, excepto tienes el verbo auxiliar to be in the pasado. Por ejemplo, I was eating, I was drinking, I was sleeping. Siempre. Okay, and el mismo por el futuro necesitas cambiar el verbo auxiliar to be in el futuro. For example, I will be eating, I will be drinking, I will be sleeping. Okay, so that's the simple and the continuous. The perfect is in español yo he hecho. Yo he hecho. Tienes el verbo haber, pero en inglés tenemos el verbo tener, to have, plus participle. Por ejemplo, yo he hecho, I have made. Okay, so that's the present perfect, and the present perfect is usually an action in the past, a period in the past that's relevant to the present. For example, no tengo hambre porque yo he cocido. It's relevant to the present. I am not hungry because I have eaten. Yeah, already. Okay, and that's the present perfect. And the other one is the past perfect. That's usually in the period in the past before another action in the past, usually the past simple. For example, I had eaten my dinner when my friend called me. So the past simple is after the past perfect. And that's the difference between the past perfect and the present perfect. Okay? So the perfect is very important, the continuous and the simple, and then we have more the infinitive to conditional. So for the infinitive, for example, tenemos algo adjetivos que tiene el verbo en el finitivo después. Por ejemplo, disappointed, adjetivo, siempre es el verbo in infinitivo, to hear, or to eat, disappointed, to learn, disappointed, to go, okay? So hay algo adjetivos que después siempre es el infinitivo. Okay, the conditionals are very complicated, very complicated, pero en realidad no están muy importante con la gente nativo, en mi opinión. Solo es necesario por exámenes y para ser claro. Conditionals are very complicated to learn. You have the zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, mixed conditionals, but in reality, in conversation, they're not so they're not such a priority. Yes, they're necessary to understand, but we can do a video later in relation to the conditional. Okay. The active and the passive is very important in the Cambridge exams, and the active, it's el mismo en español, subject, the hunter, el verbo, the past simple, and the object. So the hunter, subject, verbo, killed, and the lion is the object. That's the active. And then the passive, you change the position. So you put the object at the start. So the lion, then you have auxiliary verb to be. And in this case, it's the past, the verb to be in the past was, plus the participle of matar, kill, killed by the hunter. Okay, so the active and the passive are very important. And in exams, they're interesting. And if you're able to speak with the active and the passive and a mix of conditional and the perfect, it's a very good cosa. It's un buen cosa para hacer. Okay. Okay, so in general, that's the different tiempos, the different tenses. And in my opinion, they're very, very important. So that's number 2, the tenses. And number 1 is the use of English. Okay, and then finally, we have the final section with grammar. And hay muchas cosas aquí en grammar. Por ejemplo, substantivos, el noun, person, place, or thing. Brian, Dublin, classroom, substantivos or nouns. Doctor, airport, water. Artículos. Por ejemplo, indefinido, una casa, indefinido, pero definido artículo, de. Okay, and the reason for the an, cuando tienes un vocal, a vowel in English, necesitas an. Okay, countable and uncountable is very interesting. Por ejemplo, puedes contar bolis, sí, uno boli, dos bolis, tres bolis. Y computers, el mismo, puertas, lo mismo, cups, mismo, pero puedes contar chocolate. Creo que no. Uno chocolate. In English, no. In English, we say a piece of chocolate or a square of chocolate. Entonces, no puedes contar chocolate. In English, it's uncountable. It's possible a bar of chocolate, 2 bars of chocolate, 3 bars of chocolate. So entonces, it's chocolate is uncountable. Necesitas piece or bar antes. Okay. So chocolate, money es el mismo, agua, water, and are no uncountable. And people is very interesting. Por ejemplo, siempre people, in my opinion, is plural. Singular is person, 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. But singular person, and in español es diferente. Tienes un person y 2 personas. Pero in English, it's people per dos, 2 people. And this is very important in relation to cuánto in Espanol, cuánto. How much is in relation to uncountable. Agua, how much water. Chocolate, how much chocolate, uncountable. Y many is for countable. How many pens, how many bicycles, how many books. Okay, so that's the big, big difference in English. How much and how many. Okay, adjetivos, very important. The position of the adjective is very important. In English, the position of the adjective is antes, before the substantivo. Y es el contrario en español. Okay, por ejemplo, un boli roja in English is a red pen. Adjective, so the position is different. Okay, adverbs are important also. The ly is the equivalent of mente in español. Rapidamente, lentamente, suavemente. In English is quickly, slowly, and ly. So mente is the adverb in English for ly. Okay. Modal verbs, muy importante. También tenemos en inglés muchísimos sobre 10 modal verbs. Están muy importantes. Por ejemplo, can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would. En español creo que solo tienes casi uno. Por ejemplo, deber. Okay. Y in English tenemos can. Y can is for ability. I can play the tocar piano. I can is ability. Could is possibility. May is possibility, and might are possibility. Very, very similar. Could, may, and might. No real difference. Maybe just for the formal, informal, and the tone. Could, may, and might. Okay. Shall is el mismo que, similar que will, and it's más formal. Shall is más formal. No es tan common. It's important, sí. Es importante, sí, pero no es tan common cada día, okay? Pero es necesario entender. Should is typical for consejo. For tu amigo or tu amiga, you should go to the cinema. Should, okay? Advice, consejo. Y siempre después la modals tienes infinitivo. Can go, might go. Siempre después es el infinitivo del verbo siempre. Nunca con tú. Nunca después modals, ¿vale? Esto es el más importante cosa para recordar. And prepositions. So we have all the prepositions como antes. Possessive pronoun, my, antes el substantivo, my hat, your hat, his hat, her hat, our hat, their hat, okay, and whose is cuyos. Demonstratives are very important as well, very important. Singular, this, singular, that, depending on position. So this, aquí, that, allí. Plural is these, position, and plural, those, away. Okay, so singular, this, aquí. Singular, allí. Okay, plural, these, aquí. Y plural, those, allí. Okay, so it depends on the position and very important in English. Again, Annie, quieres algo, agua. Any water, some water. And the difference between another and other are very important. Another is typically for singular, another day, another week, another year. Pero other is typical for plural, other people, other days, other years. Okay, so that's the big difference. Singular and plural, another and other. Very, very important, the difference between singular and plural. Okay, questions. It's a little complicated sometimes in English to construct the question, and it's necessary to study and to be prepared. And in the future, I can do a video in relation specifically to questions, because we use do in the affirmative. You want, pero con do is the pregunta. So affirmativo, you eat, and then in the con do, in the present, do you eat? It's the present question, and the pasado, did you eat in the past? Okay, so con do, hacer, es el pregunta in English. Y también, this is the present perfect, and you cambiar el position del subjective, okay, of the subject. So for the question, you change the position of the subject in the present perfect. Okay, and then siempre, where, donde, when, cuando, who, quién, why, por qué, and how, cómo. Okay. Also, cuando enseño, siempre hablo sobre prefijo y sufijo. Y estos están muy interesantes para conocer el idioma. Okay, and aquí we have a lot of suffixes and prefixes. For ejemplo, ans is in relation to substantivo, importance. Okay, cuando tienes ans es normalmente un substantivo. Okay, esto normalmente es verbo. Esto normalmente es adjetivo. Esto normalmente es adverbio. Esto siempre es ante el substantivo. Significado antes, before. Y anti es contra. Im is normally negativo, prefijo. Y un is normally negativo también. So dos aquí negativos, pero irregular. Por ejemplo, imposible y unbelievable. Dos negativos, pero prefijos diferentes, pero el mismo significado de negativo. Okay. Conjunctions or linkers, very important in your writing, very important in speaking, and in every department. The linkers are very important. For example, and, but, or, nor es como tampoco y ni. yet, todavía, so, entonces, pues, aunque, although, porque, desde, si no, okay, and they're very, very more advanced, provided that, as long as, in order that. They're the most advanced at the end, and it's a good example of the importance of the linkers in every level of English, okay? Mitigators. So, antes el substantivo, fairly, rather, quite, pretty. Antes el substantivo, significado, bastante. El cuatro, significado, bastante, okay? Por ejemplo, antes el adjetivo, fairly happy, rather happy, quite happy, pretty happy, es el nivel aquí. So, feliz, rather happy, quite happy, pretty happy, and rather happy, okay? Y de contra, or de nivel más arriba es como absolute intensifiers antes el substantivo, absolute crazy, absolute madness, okay? Es possible también absolutely, totally, completely, utterly, perfectly, pero aquí es antes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, es antes the substantivo, okay? Plural nouns are very important también. In inglés, normalmente gente de irlandeses are, Irish people are. Normalmente, in my opinion, it's more fluent, it's more regular, it's more common. Irish people are. Pero en español es irlandeses es, singular, okay? But in English, it is possible singular in the concept of Irish people como uno, pero normalmente y más regular es Irish people are, okay? And that's very, very obvious and very important when you're learning English and when you're speaking English. So the most typical is Irish people are. Irish people is possible, but not very typical, okay? So government, plural, army, plural, crowd, plural, okay? And then later, it's possible to concentrate when you're studying English to specific vocabulario, okay? So cuando estás estudiando inglés, es importante también enfocar en cosas or a lista de vocabulario por un particular asignatura or particular tema, okay? And cuando enseño, es el mismo. It's possible to teach and para dar listas de vocabulario muy típico and muy específico, okay? For example, vocabulary for clothes, ropas, people, weather, business, informal vocabulary, study, university, okay? And finally, writing, okay? So writing is very different skill. Puedes estudiar, estudiar, pero al fin necesitas hablar y necesitas escribir, okay? So quizás necesitas escribir por un examen o en tu trabajo, pero es muy importante para mejorar escribiendo. Y yo puedo en el futuro dar un clase o dar un video sobre escribiendo, ¿vale? Y exams también el mismo. Tenemos muchísimos ejercicios de Cambridge, de KET, PET, FC, First Certificate, Advanced, Proficiency, and también the IELTS. So in the future, I can do classes and videos for the exams and to give my advice and to give my opinion. Okay, and también interviews, so job interviews for preparando entrevistas con trabajo. Es posible para practicar también y puedo dar consejo y pocas cosas para aprender. Okay. So, siempre es importante esta página porque es todo en inglés está en esta página y siempre cuando reunir con un nuevo alumno yo doy esta página, okay? And pues thank you, gracias de nuevo por todos los nuevos seguidores y ojalá que puedes continuar seguir mi página y ojalá que hablemos pronto, okay? So thank you very much again to everybody for following the page. If you have any questions, you can put a question in the video, and hopefully talk to you soon. Okay, thank you very much, and bye-bye.